working on it.
Yes, we don't have a choice from you, so you're just gonna, you
I'm
just
here
gonna
to
share.
answer questions.
Yes.
That anybody may have for me.
Can
Can everybody hear me?
everybody?
Now, I've never been told I'm a quiet person. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I'm not ashamed of anything that I say. So what are y'all's questions for me? There's been a lot of changes. Y'all want to talk about the gates and how we've made changes and what those changes and why we did it? I can tell you why we've got the card reader set up. It actually takes 3 seconds for somebody to drive up, swipe, and drive off. It takes 3 seconds to stop fully at a stoplight or a stop sign. It takes 7 seconds for my officer to take that badge from you, look at it, verify it's you, and hand it back. So now whenever you ride up and you swipe your badge, I can see you. I can verify you're the one that's driving. I can tell you to go. The swipe tells me it's a good badge. I don't have to check it to see if it's counterfeit, so I don't have to physically touch the badge. So it's all around a great idea. Go ahead. It does not. Visitor badges are not, so that they're not pit. Yeah. So let me see if it is an ASB. So those badges do not have any chips inside of them. That's a piece of plastic. It costs me less than the ASBs. So we, to get an ASB, it's more of a process. So y'all are trusted. ASB, we're going to run a background investigation on everybody. We're doing NCIC, full NCHC, make sure that everybody's trusted. Y'all were here. Unless y'all give me a reason not to trust you. I don't know. You look a little untrustworthy. But other than that, everybody else looks good. That guy in the back there, he's definitely not trustworthy, but we do what we can. Go ahead.
So during the pandemic, we swiped coming in and we had a swipe going at every building. They kind of used that for contact tracing when there was an issue, knowing where there was, someone who was, I guess, had an infection, how to contact the people. Swiping now coming in, is that information being used at all to say who's coming on base to work versus who's not?
The numbers are reported. The names are not. I haven't been asked to provide any names, but we do provide numbers. So it tells us how many people coming into what facilities, what's our use rate. Are we, above 25%? That used to be it. Now we're at 99% on all of the buildings. Everybody here knows that we had a medical incident that was about 3 years ago. We were able to indicate where that individual went based on the fact of where he was last known to have swiped while he was inside the building. Now that was a secure facility. So I did have that swipe access log to say, okay, we had a concerned relative called up and said, hey, can you do a health and comfort? So that's how we were able to quickly locate the individual. So. Yes, sir. Okay, so the question was the Air Force badges versus NASA badges. So the Air Force cannot swipe at my gate and I cannot swipe at their gate, but we do have a co-utilization agreement, meaning that I recognize their badges and they recognize my badges. So that's for the ASB and for the PIV. They don't recognize our visitor badges. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. The Durang gate is a cost to the Air Force because I don't staff it. So if you've ever noticed and you do drive that way, you'll see that the guys, the little boys in green are the ones that are sitting, boys and girls, I apologize, in green are sitting out there. And when they asked if they could open it, I just didn't have the budget to provide a body to do security. So we're accepting the risk of the fact that you have to drive through an Air Force base to get onto the Air Force before you're allowed onto my center. So that risk is lower than, say, not staffing my main gate. You can in the evening only. So from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. it's open for egress. From 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. it is open for ingress, or 8:30. It is, don't hold me to times because that's all handled by my guys. Yeah, 6 a.m. to 8:30. Yes, sir.
What about employees from other centers? Can they swipe their badges here and
Yes.
vice versa?
Yes. So whenever you do a visit request, That's one of the things that you're requesting is physical access, because if not, you wouldn't be able to get into the facilities. We did have an issue whenever we first switched over. We are not the only NASA center that switched to 100% swipe. All of the centers have gone to it. So a lot of people were used to, hey, I can just show my ID at the gate and drive through. I had at least one or two individuals that, and I was up there when we did the transition, that they were coming in and they had a bit of an attitude over the fact that they didn't follow the proper policy. But it was my fault, and I'm more than happy to stand up there. Usually when people meet me, I think it's my smile. They calm down. I don't, I'm sitting in there, I'm like, so I understand that you have an issue? Not with you, I don't. I'm used to that, so that's okay. Yes, sir. So I can answer that. The question is obviously how many civil servant individuals as well as contract staff. So I've got 48 contract staff that cover 5 posts. I've got 4 patrols and a gate. And then I've got my 2 badge pass office and a dispatcher. So what's that? About 9 people that's on shift for the contract side. And then for my civil servants, we are down to 7 counting me. And then I've got one he does all my access control and IDS, all of the card readers that we were talking about. He's the one that makes sure they all keep working. He's also the one that will go around and decide where we're taking card readers from as they break, because I have no money to buy bench stock to have stuff to make replacements. So we're having to rob Peter to pay Paul. So, and then let me see, as far as the investigators go, I do have 2. They are security specialists that are also agents. I came from a law enforcement background. They did not. We're bringing them up to speed on how to conduct criminal law enforcement investigations. So I don't have anybody that's dedicated to do. We don't have a large crime rate here. You're not thinking of starting something, are you? Because if that's the case, I've got about 5 agents that are, fully trained and they're conducting full investigations at all times. No, so we are understaffed. So we're currently understaffed, and we, of course, have the possibility of being having further staffing issues.
You mentioned visitor badges not getting into the Air Force Base. Are these considered visitors badges?
Those are, but I don't know whether or not they recognize. I didn't want to tell you that they do, and then they don't. I know they take the ASBs for sure. I know that, but like, I don't take dependent ID cards.
Okay. And the reason I bring it up, because there's potential of doing a tour at TDT, for instance.
Okay.
So if these don't get us there, then that would be a problem.
And then all it is you go on an EAL, an entry access list. Somebody over there sponsors you. We send that over. We do that all the time with the
Okay.
Air Force. So that's not an issue. That's very easily fixed.
Might have been the same question. I wanted to visit the east area and have to go through the Air Force gate to get here. And you were saying that you're just not sure.
I'm not sure. Has anybody here tried to use the visitor badge to get through? And do they accept it? Okay, then you are good. I didn't want to say that it was good. I know for a fact they'll take my ASBs and my PIVs. So the fact that okay. And remember, you cannot sponsor in the vehicle anymore. They used to have what they call trusted traveler, meaning that if I had my family in the car and I showed them my ID card, mine was the only ID card they checked. Now they're checking to make sure everybody in there has the proper ID, not just a driver's license, has a proper ID to be given access to that gate. I have no control over what the Air Force does. I can ask, but generally I don't get it. Yes, sir.
On a 1-day visitors pass, now that this new
EVAMs?
driver's license has the,
Okay.
that went into effect, you gotta have that.
It
kind
did.
of driver's
Yes, sir.
license. Is there any other way to get on base without having that kind of?
Do you have a passport?
Passport?
Yes, if you have a passport, so there are other forms of ID. If you have your passport with your social security and a real ID driver's license, then those 3 will get you on. All 3 of them. So it's either you have a real ID or you have the 3 IDs still, so. Yes, sir.
As a follow-up to that, what if you have a real ID and a student ID from one of the local schools?
So state issued, it's gotta be government issued, so a school ID is not a government issued ID.
Okay.
So there's no regulatory anything on a student ID.
So it has to be federal government.
State. So your
State.
driver's license is a state ID. It's issued by the state. Do you have an issue? Have you anybody in here having any issues getting on center? Okay, I can fix that. No, so that's good. I'm glad that it's all working, so. Yes, sir. Yeah, but it won't work in the so if you go in, you gotta take a number and sit and wait because as soon as Real ID became a NASA requirement, they turned off all of their non-Real IDs instead of our EVAMs. So you won't be able to go in, like if you forget your ID, and you're like, hey, I just want to do a lost ID, you can go over to EVAMs, you can put in lost ID, scan your badge, get your pass, and then you drive right through. It's easy. If you don't have that, then you get to take a number and wait, and those wait times are getting longer. We do not. It's not an actual official thing. It's something that some centers do and not all centers do. There's no regulatory requirement for it. I do. Oh, you mean whenever you go in and it's expired?
6 months. No, you issued it.
Yep.
Why don't you recognize it?
You know, that's a good question. That's one of those, again, it's a regulation. So anybody that didn't hear that, what they were asking is why don't we recognize the fact that you have an expired ID? They also won't recognize an expired PIV as one of my forms of ID whenever I walk in. They asked me to give them ID. I do this and point to the wall. I mean, my picture, and they said that's not good enough. So I have to actually get my ID card and give it to them. Yep, I got you. I understand. It's just not one of the forms of ID that NASA is recognizing. What about a state issue ID? Like not a driver's license? The state does issue IDs, a non-driver's license ID, so you can go in and get that. I know it's a pain. Or if you run into issues, I am a very risk acceptance for a chief. I'm really surprised that I haven't been fired yet. So when we run into these issues, I weigh in on the employee side. And so I look at the NASA regulation and I say, does it meet the spirit and intent? You have a ID card already. So I go in and I can see what you use to get that ID card. And then I can say, I'm willing to accept, but then it's risk acceptance. I have to accept the risk because you don't have the proper ID. I generally do. Don't spread that around. I like people to think I'm not a nice person. Makes my job easier.
This is not a question, it's kind of, an observation from many years ago. You used to have a security guard. His name was Fife. I think I would have chosen a different career path. But back then, they didn't let the guards have bullets in their guns. If
They did not?
Did not.
Okay.
They could carry a bullet with them. Fife lost his.
Yeah.
And Gene Hicks from ACD found it coming over to the cafeteria. And I always thought that was one of the funniest things that happened to a security guard.
I don't think that's funny. So ammo, weapons, the police gear that we issue to our guards, that's all inventoried and it's inventoried nightly. They turn their gear in, the rounds are counted, everything's signed for saying, I brought it in, I agree. And then the lieutenant who's on duty signs, says, I saw it get put inside the cage. A few years back, we had a weapon that went missing. Wasn't under my leadership. Can't say it's never happened to me, but it did not happen to me while I worked for NASA. So these are terminal things that can happen to people in my position. If I allowed the conditions to get so lax that they're able to lose weapons and ammo, that's my fault. I've understood this my whole career. I am here to be fired. When something goes wrong and they need to blame somebody, that's what I'm here for, and I'm okay with it. So I'm doing everything I can. I am out here on the weekends. I'm out here at night. I do post checks. I do zone checks. I don't sit in my office. I get out and I meet the people. They don't like it, but I get out and meet them. So I come to these and I want to answer any questions that anybody has. I want you to have that great experience whenever you come here. I want it to be like it was in the old days. Go ahead, sir. You want it?
No.
Okay. I say, I keep looking for somebody that wants my job. Did you? We need to talk. So I came from the Pentagon and went into NASA, and I went into NASA thinking, man, I'm going to have it made. NASA's got money. It's got resources, top of the line technology. I showed up to my first meeting and they had those little slide projector things that you put in and it put it up. And I'm like, oh, is that for nostalgia? They said, no, we still use that. Why? It hasn't broken, so we're not going to replace it till it breaks. Oh, look, it fell off the table. No. Yes, sir.
So some of y'all have been around for 40 years or more, probably remember when we used to have turkey shoot out here. You brought your shotgun in
I got
and you
people
shot
buying
at a
it.
target and you won a prize, right? Now, I know you can't bring your personal firearms on. What if you get in a situation where you have your personal firearm, you need to come on base, you live in Gloucester, is there a way to check your gun at
No,
the
NASA
badge
has
pass
a,
office?
yeah, NASA as a rule does not take in weapons. It's unfortunate, but it is a NASA policy. So it's not DOD. I had the authority and I created those programs at basis that I was the base security officer. But here I asked about it and I was told, no, we can't do it. So NASA will not assume the liability of taking personal firearms. But if you try to come through the gate and we catch you with it, we're more than happy to take it from you. And so, don't think that we just goes into a different holding bin. So as y'all come in, I'm hoping that your interactions with my staff, and I have two of them that came into the room back there, I'm hoping that y'all are having those good experiences. That when we have the issue of, hey, this is the only ID I have, you'll notice they'll say, hang on, let me call the chief. And the reason for that is the way NASA regulations are written. It says, thou shalt do this, this, and this. And then on the very bottom of most of these, it says, unless designated by the chief. So that means that it's now on me to come in and accept the risk. If I allow you to come on, it turns out you shouldn't have been here, then that's on me. So I take my job very seriously. I am here for the security and safety of people who come on this center. And I'm proud of that job. I truly am. You've had the job. It means a lot to me whenever I come in and I know, hey, nobody's been hurt. No, everything is going the way it's supposed to go. I've got the proper staff at the right places at the right times. We're looking for the right things. And all of y'all are my eyes and ears here on center. So if you see something, say something. Let me know. Hey, you know what? This guy's always coming in after hours. When he leaves, he's got a lot of, what was it? The brass? He's got a lot of brass in the back of his truck. We had that issue. We went to start generators. Apparently there wasn't enough scrap brass here on center. So he was copper. So he was cutting all the copper out of the generators. So, for $1,000 worth of copper, $20,000 worth of damage. So any more questions for me? I do apologize. I didn't put up a slide and say, hey, here's my gates. Here's my people doing their jobs. That's just not me. Go ahead.
Are the badge policies now settled and stable now? Is there any other changes in the mix? Or pretty much settled on the way it's going to be now?
So as of today, I am not aware of any changes. So that we enterprised. Part of the mapping process is it used to be at the center leader's discretion. They still have that discretion under my rule here, just because, I give them that. They can tell somebody they can come or go. It's up to them. But we do follow enterprise rules, meaning that if they say, hey, you know what, here's a better way to do this, then they will send that down to us and it'll be one of those thou shalt do this, and then we'll make those changes. Right now with the Real ID, Again, the ruling came out as of, what was it, 7th of May? You will no longer accept these. I'm still accepting. At some point, somebody will call me into an office and have that little sit down with me with my legal counsel there, and they'll say, hey, you shouldn't have been doing this. And I'll say, oh, thanks for letting me know. I won't do it anymore. But again, I try to take a common sense approach to everything that I do. Oh, please do.
So who asked the question? Dick, was that you? Did you ask the question?
About stable policy.
Yeah.
About stable policy, okay. So we're gonna talk about this during the board meeting, but there is a different, change in policy that you could go to a potential 12-month badge.
Yes.
Right, okay, I wanted to say that, okay, because I didn't want you to leave and then us next month say, oh, we're getting,
No,
Chief
they-
says we could do a 12, so I'm just trying to help you. but-
That's a bonus.
Yeah, it is, right, but from him, I would take it differently as the president because of everything that we talk about. So that's the only reason why, not just you, Dick, everybody. So I will just say there's the potential opportunity that the LAA might go into that direction based on what Chief Bright has talked to us about. But the board has not talked about it yet. And so we wanted to talk about it first before we brought it to the general membership, because you're talking to the general membership now, not the
Oh,
board.
I didn't tell them I was making changes.
No, I didn't, I didn't want everyone like, look at that, Dane, Chief
Deny,
Bright, all of a sudden.
deny, counter, reaccuse. I've been doing this job a long time. Oh, that wasn't me, Your Honor. That was that guy right over there. And if it wasn't him, I think it was her. Just saying. Any other questions for me? No? It's been a pleasure meeting all of y'all. I thank you for all your years of service. I hope one day to sit where you're sitting, to be you sitting back listening to whoever takes my place and go, man, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But that's all good. It's all good. All right. Nice meeting all of you.